first, before we get started, I want to address a couple comments that I saw in Discord, starting with Josh. I'm going to record this. I'm going to put this in the reset because I think it's so freaking valuable. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was like, hey, how come we don't have enough successful men in here? And, the go-to answer for this is always simple. Well, we can't control our wives. I don't care what program you go to. We can't control our wives. But I'm going to just put this out on a limb. How many motherfuckers go in there and make a comment about how I fucked up? Matthew was one of the persons who said something like, oh, yeah, it'd be nice to see it work. I can't remember. It doesn't even matter. Listen, this guy is fucked up more than I can imagine in 12 months. We have the same conversation every 2 months. Bill, we had a conversation with you. You keep working, you keep trying. We don't say we can't control your wife. What do we say? Oh, I didn't follow through on what I need to do. Cass told me to do some homework and I didn't do it. So I want to just really get this out there. I'm going to save this little piece of recording. I'd love to hash it out with anybody. I know it sounds like I'm being aggressive. That's just because I'm an aggressive dude. I'm not defensive. I'm not aggressive. I want to go through this with you guys because it can be scary. But I'm going to tell you something right now. Almost every man that I'm looking at has complained about something and there's not a lot of you in here right now, if it's not working the way you want it to work. And at the end of the day, we can't control our wives. That is true for any program. But the real end of the day, like Ryan and Greg said about a year ago, is let's go get your life. Yeah, but you're all here to get your wife. Agreed? Cool. So then if we're constantly revisiting, oh, I should have done this differently. Oh, I should have done that differently. Does that mean a program doesn't work? Or does that mean you have reprogramming to do in your own brain? Right? We're undoing. How old are some of us here? I'm 43 in 2 months here. Well, less than 2 months. How old are some of us here? It's just going 47.
Same as you.
Same. There you go. So this is a lot of years of reprogramming from when you were a child. And so if you let's think about the easiest topic. What do we do when somebody comes at us or we're disagreeing? We have a disagreement. We go and defend ourselves, right? What is the first thing the reset says? I want to think about where I want this to go. And if we know defense doesn't work, then we're already screwing it up if we're not thinking that way, right? And so it's not that it's easy. It's not that it's good. It's not that it's bad. It's that we have to really change the program. Now, to top it all off, I cannot tell you how many men it's been like, oh, you're only using part of the reset. Oh, we didn't use man at play. Oh, we haven't done purpose. It's probably 50% of guys don't do anything with purpose, like literally nothing. You read a few books from the reset. So what are you giving back? How many guys come to this? Anybody want to be brave? How many guys come to the program and money was a stretch? And yet nobody on a call once, hardly ever, maybe twice in a year says, how do I make $2,500, Cass, a month? Nobody. How many guys still look the same and haven't worked out? How many guys? Most. So when you see somebody like Josh saying, I would like to see some success stories, listen, I think it's tremendous if somebody wants to stay in here and motivate the guys, but you know how much draining energy it is when people don't use a reset, continually go back against what they're supposed to do. They don't touch a gym or something to do with health. If they do, they don't work. They don't eat right. If they do all that, then they still drink. How many guys are still jerking off, not asking for help? How many guys are not doing the purpose thing that I talked about? And then we get to man at play and people are like, oh my gosh, I haven't been doing it, which is part of the reset. So circle back. So I would like you guys, if you see anybody complaining about a mentor who kicks ass and shows up every single day, I'd like you guys to acknowledge that even with examples, Guillaume just popped up, so I'm gonna throw you under the bus, buddy. I gave Guillaume the same instructions for like fucking 6 months. Now we're still enabling his wife yesterday. Guys, do not ever let somebody say it doesn't work. It's you who doesn't work. That's it. Now, after that, when you're proud of who you want to be, then we can talk about your wife, which is what every program talks about. We can't control her. I don't care if you're talking about dead bedroom fix, talking about married game, marriage mastery, bulletproof husband. I don't care what you're looking at, right? I think even Glover says it in No More Mr. Nice Guy. That's all secondary to you showing up first. How many guys still struggling with the nice guy? Anybody want to be brave? Got a lot of hands going up. Well, of course, that's going to be challenging for a wife who knows whether or not you started the program or not, that it's, wow, there's still covert contracts. Ooh, still keeping score. Go back to stat response that I started this whole thing with. Structure is the first thing. If we're keeping score, we're not keeping structure. We're not providing structure for where we want to go. So anytime, guys, please, that you see somebody complaining the program doesn't work, and I don't know why Josh is saying that. I think maybe he wasn't complaining. Maybe he was saying it'd be nice to see more success besides Cass, whatever, because he's actually doing pretty well with his wife. And he came in very beginning saying this isn't going to work. He wanted his money back the next day or next week or something, got him turned around. This is a guy, think about that mentality right here. Oh man, this isn't going to work. This is bullshit. My wife, I need to divorce her. I need to take the money for myself. She's giving me this great deal. I even had a conversation and said, well, I mean, I guess the way it's going, she's having an affair with a really bad sexual predator, apparently. And so, maybe you should think about taking the money for yourself, protecting your little one. And I support him on that journey. Fast forward, convince him to work hard, show up for himself. And now he's doing great with his at least a lot better. We're moving forward. Okay. We don't know what'll happen, because then if he continues, what do we have? Well, we have a wife we can't control, like every other program. Okay. So what I want you guys to think about is this. You must use the program. I'm going to use Kevin because you just popped up here. Kevin's really scared. It's hard. It hurts, right? It's going to be a tough time with the season. What does that do to us? It makes us live in anxiety. Makes us not want to show up. And I got the impression from Kevin yesterday talking to him. He's like, okay, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to do it. But it's still scary. And how many guys don't follow through when it's scary? So with that being said, I'd love to go back and forth with you. I'd love to figure out what it is that you might feel like is holding each and every one of you back. If you're watching recording this later, which I'm going to put this recording in the reset for obvious reasons, but tell me what your concerns are. Okay. And if you want to know more about my story, my in, out, push, pull, Kathryn, I had to lay a boundary in the end, you can do all that. But if you guys have specific questions, let me have them, especially pertaining to this, because this is important. We can only put forward our 2 feet. We can only lift ourselves up and then try to lift our wife and our family. You know what I'm saying? Starts with us. Anybody here want to start with some admission of what they've been doing wrong?
Sorry, couldn't unmute. I know what I'm doing wrong. I know Mr. Nice Guy he's ingrained in pain. I can't even talk. He's ingrained very deeply. Hell, I'm over assuming shit that I shouldn't assume. I'm overthinking stuff and catching myself overthinking. I'm doing the blaming her. Well, this would be so much better if she would just engage. You name it. And I have to catch myself and talk to the guys regularly about it. What am I doing wrong? What's going on? And I help Pete and Kelly and them. They all call me out for it.
I think that's great. And I'd actually say that you do a great job of it. You're one of the ones who really wants to beat the nice guy and recognizes the struggle, right? I'm going to flip this. Matthew, you're down there in the corner on my screen. I think you want to beat the nice guy, but you get way too comfortable, complacent. It's easy when it's easy. Then it's hard and it's like, fuck, I gotta go back to it, right? And so I think it's a great reflection. It's important to understand where we mess up. And then what did Jeff just say? Jeff doesn't complain. He says, okay, how do I do this? And he asks for help, right? It's different.
Oh, no, I still complain sometimes. I mean,
Well,
I do complain.
You're gonna need to vent a little bit about your wife. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's gonna be tough, right? But at the end of the day, you're showing up saying, how can I beat it? Right? Make sense?
Oh yeah.
I'm scared because and this may be part of the nice guy. I don't know, no matter how much work I do, I don't know whether she's going to be able to get out of the past. I don't know whether she's going to be able to accept a new life with me.
I don't think that's your nice guy, dude. I think that you love her very, very much. And it is scary. Each and every one of us, Lords, we say go get your wife, but it is go get your life. Okay. Each and every one of us wants our wife. That's why we're here. That's why I say give her gratitude, right? Because you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. I'll use you as an example, Bill. We talked about man play yesterday. She might not be able to get out of it, Her past, by the way, if you don't know Lawrence, her past, her insecurities go long before Bill. It's like deep rooted from childhood and bad men that she had before Bill. And so it will be a challenge. Here's the thing. You know, we talked about using Man at Play yesterday, showing her love, the lover's list, being a lover, being a player, making sure it's clear. The lust in your eyes. If she sees the lust in your eyes, Bill, this is the pretense for why I say use that module. If she feels that, she knows your heart, she knows your eyes, she knows your junk, poking her in the side. Ooh, we can make a rhyme out of this. Like, here's the thing. She's going to feel the insecurity fade away. And if she doesn't, we can work with that. Remember the tool I gave you a couple months ago? Tell me, say, I love you, but I'm insecure. There's lots of little things that we can do, but we must lay the foundation with the reset first, right? So I appreciate that you're afraid. You should be afraid. You should be, because this is the whole reason we got in this mess in the first place, because we weren't doing what we're supposed to do, right? Use it to hold
right away.
accountable. What's that?
You noticed right away the hesitation yesterday when you asked me if I want her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, I do want her, but I don't want her the way she is right now.
I can appreciate that. I'm going to flip it over to Jeff. Guaranteed, Jeff doesn't fucking want her like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. I didn't want Kathryn the way she was either, right? When she became reactively abusive and I was doing everything I could to just continue to find joy, it was hard. But you see, I call it the light. I don't even know if I do that in the reset, but I call it light. People say, well, what did you see? I call it the light. Like I knew there was something better with her, right? There's a reason why I chose her. And when you can understand that you influence the negative, and not all of it in your wife's case for sure, probably in most wives' case, right? But you brought her into your life with whatever baggage she had. Then you helped elevate whatever you would call red flags today. And then we decided to commit, whether you got married or not, gentlemen, decided to commit. And so, based off what we know about integrity, love, and what you could do with positive influence instead of negative influence, I challenge you to use that fear and channel it for success with emotion, not failure with emotion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for a brief time I saw exactly how she is in her normal self, and it's everything that I want.
There you go. That's the woman you need to bring out. But see, here's the thing. If we're not using the reset, if we keep saying, oh, I didn't do this right. Oh, I actually got defensive. Oh, man, I haven't used this module. Oh, you know what? I didn't do purpose. Oh, I still haven't really worked out yet. If we haven't been our best selves, what the fuck makes you think you're entitled? This is nice, guy. To her being her best self so you can show up then. You might as well not have joined the program. You might as well done what I always say. Why wait for her? That's what I decided. What side do you want to be on? The side where you wait and wait and wait and then leave? Just delay everything? Or the side where you at least get to know, like Pete. Pete knows exactly where he's at. You know, he's continuing to move forward with everything in his life. You know, it's been jumbled right now, I'm sure, Pete, with the newest news of your wife about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks, I don't even know. You know, but he continues to move forward. Look at all the time he's spending with everybody, right? And so I totally understand, but you have to look at that exact equation. Am I waiting for her? Or am I going to bring the best of her out? And then you can go to somebody like Greg, right? And Ryan's sort of there, but on the fence, right? Where it's like, I'm not going to settle for this, you know, because now I am my best self. And that's not perfect, guys. I still make mistakes. So are they. So does Pete. So does everybody. The point is being your best as much as you can, showing up as often as you can. Being proud of who you are overall. You know, if I make a mistake, and back when I was making mistakes a little more and a little bit louder still, Kathryn would say something and I'd be like, I'm still proud of who I am. I'm just not that fucking guy. So I'm not doing this anymore. That's because I laid a boundary. Excuse me, okay? So I challenge you guys, whatever you're feeling, to think about waiting for her, why that didn't work in the first place, especially those of you who have a wife who's on the fence with living in another room, separated altogether, divorce papers on the way, or have an affair, which unfortunately, that's part of the reason why it looks so challenging. You know how many programs won't take all of you in because of some of these things? If it's abuse, They might not take you in marriage mastery. Just turned down one of our newest recruits for abuse and drug addiction. Right now, we don't have a lot of abuse and drug addiction as abusive like I was. But then a lot of guys will be like, they'll talk about their money back guarantee and they'll talk about all these different things, but you got to make sure you show up to every single Zoom. You got to make sure, like, the fucking criteria. Right? So challenge you guys to think about, this is a tough group. A lot of the guys that are doing great, why would they? If I get a text message, I got a beautiful text message from somebody the other day, but they want to go spend their life together. I wish he would help more. I kind of don't blame him. He's going to fulfill his other purpose, doing whatever else he needs to do. I kind of don't blame him. It's a drain. Some of you guys don't understand the drain of the negative energy, right? Some of you guys just don't appreciate the phone calls and the taxing text messages and it's a hard. Even I'll give you an example. Kathryn's perspective. She almost quit about 6 months into doing this because it's so much. It'd be what we call emotional vampires out there in the real world, right? That's how much love there is for the guys in here. Okay. So it's when I see a comment like Josh's, I'm like, pardon me? Like, fuck, you didn't want to, he was going to quit. Full on going to quit. And now he thinks things are moving towards their, like last I heard, they were dating again. Like, come on, man. All right, go ahead, Dennis.
Well, you said own up on not doing the much, and the player module has been difficult for me to implement, and it's definitely out of my comfort zone. And so I can own up that I need to do more on that. And Todd called me out when I was making excuses about us not being in the same place, not being able to do something with the salsa dancing, go get a mariachi band and show up at her house and stuff. So I like that idea. I'm actually trying to figure out how to like logistically make that happen. But I can own that, is that I'm doing stuff to make opportunities, but I'm not really pushing it and going that above and beyond step of showing up in that bigger, better way. And I can push myself harder to do that. It's uncomfortable, and I won't lie, I'm scared of like putting myself out there like that and then what the possible rejection is. But I know that's all just getting over that. And so I feel like the program's worked really well for me. I've told you, Cass, it saved my life, changed everything about me. So but I am struggling with that player and creating opportunities for me and my fiance to interact and better do it. So I can own up on that. And it was nice to get called out on it. That's what I like about the group, is whenever you say some stuff that's out of line, there's more than enough people who call you on your shit and make you check your nice guy. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I love that. Well, two things. Okay. First things first, if you don't get out of your comfort zone and go all the way in, just be the man who you are, take the chance. You'll never get anything you want in this life. Pete wouldn't know where his wife was at. This ultimately, all the work he did made her feel so insecure and fucking just realize she wants to stay there, wherever that is, back in the past. Well, at least Pete knows. At least Pete can keep moving, keep growing, keep shredding the weight, keep leading men, keep figuring out he's got a whole nother plan he wants to get going. I think you still want to do it, Pete. Like he's got this whole life that he wants to do. And who knows? He's not marrying anybody again. Who knows what'll happen? So you can't ever know if you don't go, so to speak. Number one. Number two, here's a little idea for you, Dennis. Just start making a list of ideas. Go crazy. I'm always talking about Instacart orders and fucking paper airplanes and shit. There, you just thought of a mariachi band. That's super cool. Like, make a big list. Let's start building one for the guys. When I built the reset, I never had so many guys that are separated, that are going through restraining orders, that are going through the divorce papers. It was mostly all roommates when I started everything, right? Or business partners. So because of, I think, being more open with my story, and because of more and more guys gradually coming in the same situation, we maybe have to build a whole unit on that for Man at Play, a whole section on that for Man at Play. So let's talk about that. I know you wanted to be a mentor anyways. Why don't we fucking put some work together on that? Okay, cool. All right, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, no, I wanted to just own up on, I still get lost when Jen throws up the past, but I did use what you told me last time when I actually finally got her. I keep inviting her to do things after my big screw up. And I quit apologizing for it like the last well, this whole week, and I just been doing what I'm supposed to do, following the reset. I just got into Man in Purpose, and dude, I love this program. It's actually helping me. I don't worry as much anymore about what she thinks, but I do get hung up when she throws the past stuff. Like last night, we were at dinner. We went out for dinner, and I talked about my sister and brother-in-law are coming. I'm going to smoke a pork butt. And she's like, you never cooked for me. You never did this. And I was like, well, it sucks being on bottom. And then I just shut the fuck up and let her talk. And she started pouring out more. And I would just like validate it and then shut up. And she's actually starting to open up now. But then she also, she still throws out the fact, I mean, we live in the same house and but we're like roommates, right? And we're going through, the divorce papers are filed. We have mediation next month on the 12th to split up assets. But, and then even if the divorce goes through, we're still living in the same house. But I struggle with when she throws up the past. How do you get past that?
You just own it. Like literally, everybody gets so hung up on this one. I just don't understand. Yeah, you're right. I was a douche. But insert whatever word you want. Yeah, you're right. I had a lot to learn. I say that all the time on my social media. People still bring up shit, and it's the same exact thing. They'll be like, I can't believe she's still with you. You're so fucking lucky. And I'm like, yeah, I had a lot to learn. Like, what the fuck? What am I supposed to do? It's the fucking past.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why people get so hung up on this. It's the fucking past. It's it. Not even Jesus wants you to live in your fucking sins. Like, Jesus, like, I can't wrap my head around this. But guys get so worked up because she's so worked up. But remember, we're not supposed to be affected by her mood. She can be upset. That does suck. You didn't cook a pork butt for years, you fucking prick. Cool,
Yeah.
own it. You're right. I was a prick. I was lazy. I was idled.
I do that. And then she's like, and now when you do it for me, it just makes me mad. And I was like, well, eventually you'll stop being mad.
No. So that's the part. That's where you screw up. See, now you're getting sucked in.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
but how can you be mad? You can't frown if you're licking your lips. By the way, do that. That looks hot. Like literally, go where you want to go. The first letter is S. Structure. Structure. Let's just go back to what I was talking about at the beginning of this call. We get so wrapped up in like the timelines and divorce papers and the past and her mood and like structure. What do I want? What would I be doing if she was happy right now? I'd be fucking flirting. So flirt.
Right.
Sit. I mean, obviously we wouldn't be jumping into sex, right? But you know what I mean? Like failing that, you can pretty much understand what you have to do. And you just know she's probably going to reject it. That's all. Excuse me. And you just keep showing up. Okay. So guys, this just brings me to another point. This is one of the reasons why I'm pretty fucking sure this is real, that I'm the only program where this is as long as it takes. Just be patient. Let's do this thing. I used to sell it like 90 days. I was telling you this on a call the other day, but I don't anymore because it's not realistic with the cases that we're getting. Some of you guys have been, Simon's even got a decent marriage, right? We just got to get all the way there. But he spent 2.5 years doing it differently. Now he's adding new things. That still could mean that she's starting to she's got to process. She's got to think. I'll use an example, Simon, but I don't know. But let's say it's like expectations. So Simon would have backed off of expectations a long time ago with the work that Simon's done. Okay. Remember I say that she doesn't necessarily believe that? Well, now the way he's probably having a rejection with stats and things like that and providing more structure of where he wants to go, the more flirtatious he gets with men at play, pushing the limits and things like that. This is what's going to bring it out of her. But we don't know. That was still an extra, 2 years on top of however many bad years, right? So think about that when we think about things like the patience formula, and this is well beyond your wife. Some of you, even Greg. So you guys look at Greg. How many times do we have conversations about your expectations actually bleeding out? Like a lot, right?
Lots.
Yeah. So what would happen is Greg would have the right mindset from the reset, and then he would start doing whatever he's doing or acting how he's going to act with his fiance. And then as he's talking, I'm picking out, I'm like, dude, I hear that you want to have sex. That's what you're presenting right now. So you have to switch it up and say it different, right? And so again, using the reset, using the Lord's practice. You'll start to get it, Bill. Sounds like you're starting to get it already, but now the past is coming up more. So now it's the next step.
Right.
Okay.
And the purpose module is awesome. I actually, in my personal growth, since I told you when we had our very first call that I actually started working on me back in April. Well, in July, I weighed 357 pounds. I'm 18 pounds away from being down 100. So the purpose
Whoa.
module is actually uh, the workouts. I'm actually starting to implement some of your workouts that's going to push me above that level. So yeah, I'm 18 pounds away from 100, losing 100 pounds since July. And she knows I'm wearing shirts that she bought me like 3 years ago that I took the tags off yesterday, and I actually wore one to dinner last night. You know,
Nice.
so yeah,
Well,
it's
and I don't know what she looks like, but no matter what, you'll probably get a comment down the road is why didn't you get in shape for me? Like it'll literally, if your wife brings up the past, she'll probably bring up everything as it happens.
oh
That's
yeah,
okay.
she's like,
Just-
oh, well, congratulations, you know.
Exactly. Passive aggressive remark or whatever.
And I was like, thank you. I've been working really hard. That's what I told her.
Exactly. Oh, you mean you noticed this guy? Shit. You know, like
I
just
even
have,
did the,
yeah. Another one that I like to do, we'll talk about weight loss is I did this to Kathryn last night. It wasn't about weight loss, but we were at some friend's house and I started going, yeah, actually I had this table in mind and I kind of like squeeze the counter and push on it. Yeah, and basically Kathryn looks right over at we were at their house, but looks right over at them and was like, you gotta go. We're gonna use your counter. Like you go where you want to go. Okay. Just don't let her suck you backwards and you'll stay out of the past. Okay. All right, Dan, go ahead. You have a reflection?
Yeah, no, I'm going through Man in Control right now, and just it's interesting because I'm realizing how much I really actually make decisions, or I'm working through things based on the concern of rejection or the trying to make sure I keep the peace or things like that, instead of just going for it and just like, oh, this is what I want to do. And so, like one of the things specifically that I've been doing more of is just praying with my family, right? Like I pray by myself all the time in the car on the way to the gym, on the way home, like all that kind of stuff in my own time. And I used to do that, as a family or just with my wife specifically, but I kind of have been hesitant because of the rejection of it. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. So she had an interview yesterday. I asked her, she hesitated, but then she went for it. And you could tell it was uncomfortable for her because it was so outside of the norm. And then again today, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow. I'm going to do it again the next day. And just those simple practices where I'm just going to step up and do what I know that I should be doing to lead my family. And working very hard to not be in fear of the lack of approval, things like that. So another example of that is, asked to do something today because we have our family Christmas party tomorrow, which is a little bit stressful because it's all her family.
Yeah.
But instead, just doing a family thing with the kids. Like we have a gas fire pit outside, so we'll do s'mores, we'll watch a Christmas movie, just like doing things to create moments with the whole family today instead. But just trying to really focus on the fact that regardless of whatever she thinks or does, I'm going to do what I want to do to create those opportunities and really work at the overthinking part, because that's my
for
biggest
where
fault.
you want to go, right? So not just your
Yeah.
family, pick your wife too,
Yeah.
right? You see that more in man at
Yep.
play, but like
Mhm.
you think about where you want to go, where you want to take everybody, where she wants to go, she's just not there with you right now. But
Mhm. Yep.
when you start to identify your core values, then you'll start to really figure out, okay, that means I don't have to deal with rejection because I'm praying with my family today. That's how I'm doing it.
Mhm.
We pray with our kids every single day. They don't give a fuck. When Kathryn and I read the Bible, the kids are often in and out of bed or whatever, and we do our thing. But like, we do what we're going to do. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So you do the same thing. That's an example of something that you would do regardless because of who you are, right? And I don't
Yeah.
know, because some wives are different. That's a tough one when people have different faith or different
Mhm.
beliefs. But it could be something that it's also like a really good example of how a lot of times we would pull back because your partner doesn't feel the same way, and you don't have to sacrifice something like that, right? Working
Yep.
out, believe it or not, is just the same thing, right? How many times somebody work out and their wife's like, all you care about is you? Well, fuck, this is a great example of how we don't respond, because you just want to be like, what are you talking about? Now I have more energy, I can feel better, and now I can do more around the house, and I can this and that, and you're all going for approval and fucking defense. You know what I mean? So yeah, you'll start to recognize a lot more if you're starting to click this fast with it, we'll start to recognize a lot more now.
Yeah. That and the overthinking. That's my biggest detriment is just I can get stuck in that, cycle of overthinking, the anxiety builds, and that's where prayer is really helping that, going through the anxiety training, which for me is tough because of the overthinking. I can get lost in it, but it's getting better. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, the Ruminating Brain is what it's called, and it's Glover's got a good book on it, or good resource. I could look for it. I think I have it. But it's pretty common actually, like especially when our self-worth has been devalued for so long. This is I'm glad you're bringing all this up, because this is a perfect example of how many men fail. It has nothing to do with their wife. And that's what bothered me when I saw it. I think it might have been Andy's response, which is still true. It's just that that's a lazy way of thinking. Oh, I can't control my wife. It's a fucking lazy way of thinking. Because at the end of the day, if you're not showing up, overthinking, keeping score, for example, well, that's your fucking problem, man. No wonder she's pissed. I wouldn't want to be with you either. I know what I used to do to Kathryn. It's constantly thinking and questioning things and wondering what's going on, feeding the anxiety and the insecurity. That's a you problem, man. I don't care what your wife is doing. That's still a you problem. Okay. So great reflections, Dan. All right, Jeff, go.
So a good book is Stop Overthinking by Trenton.
By who? I don't know that one.
Trenton, Nick Trenton.
Nick Trenton.
I don't know.
One of the things that I would suggest here, since you're bringing that up, is many of you we talked about this yesterday on the call or the day before, I can't remember. Many of you are doing far too much. Like, focus on the reset. I brought it all together first. I'm sure there's lots of resources that I haven't seen. Marriage Mastery wasn't around when I started doing my thing, but or at least that I know of. But man alive, sometimes we're reading so many books, it's more like a distraction, Jeff, than a lesson, right?
Yeah, I've already been griped at about that. Like I'm too much in the books and not feeling, but at the same time, I'm not allowed to feel, not allowed to engage, flirt, because flirting is manipulation.
No.
Yeah.
See, you say you're not allowed because she's saying that, and you sound just ridiculous the way you talk.
I know, right?
Instead, just do what you want to do. You should flirt if you want to flirt. That's it. That's a point. Deal with rejection. Just know if you're not up the rejection ladder, she's going to reject it, which is why I say don't go for sex, obviously, if you're not there, right? But the rest of it you can do, right? As long as you're hitting the other rungs of the ladder, I don't give a shit. Go flirt. Smack her on the butt. You're still her husband. You know what I mean?
Well, she put a boundary in that I'm not allowed to touch her.
You don't give a fuck. She's the one who's manipulating, not you. As far as what I know, she's the one who's manipulating. Okay? And if she put a boundary in for that, literally, you don't have to touch her butt. Be creative. Right? Squeeze her shoulder and say, you look hot today, babe. Don't touch me. I told you to touch me. You did. Wait, that was your butt, wasn't it? Man, she just tapped your butt before you got after me. Okay, I'll see you. I got to go work out. Love you.
Yeah, there's a lot of those that she's
Honestly.
put in place, like can't call her honey because that's manipulative.
No,
just crazy shit.
Jeff, for 4 months, man. I can't do it because it's manipulative. I keep telling you it's not. So stop telling yourself it is. Stop making yourself fail. That's it.
Right. What I'll do, I tiptoe around her.
If you affirm the bullshit, what do you do? Well, you sit on the toilet all day and shit. Okay, stop it. Stop it. It's not manipulative. She's your wife. Can't call me honey. Who fucking made the rules, man? Come on, honey.
Right.
That's a term of endearment. We call our children honey sometimes.
Right.
Our friends. Can't call me honey. Don't listen to her. She's not good at marriage. I'm just going to drop a real, I don't know if you know this yet, but bomb drop here, mic drop. Your wife sucks at marriage. Okay?
Yeah.
You do too. I'm not putting this on her. All I'm saying is I wouldn't listen to the person who's not in a course who sucks at marriage, who doesn't have a coach who sucks at marriage. I wouldn't listen to her personally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some of you guys got to realize that if your wife's leading you, she doesn't have a coach, she barely reads a fucking book, she doesn't have any support group, and you still like to let your wife lead you? No wonder we're fucking failing. Come on,
Well,
this is
Pete and them,
What's that?
Pete pointed out, I think it was Pete pointed out that every time I get rejected, I play possum. I'm just like, you're done. I back up. And that was, that's the kind of shit that I look for with this group. Hey, call me on my bullshit. What did I do wrong? All right, got it. I'll step
you're
up
not
and go
alone.
forward.
I have a reel going viral on that right now. That's what happens with men. It's from our podcast, actually. I think it's called Stonewalling or something. But
It is
so
called Stonewalling.
common. Yeah, it's so common where you just want to shut down and hide because you're afraid of everything she says, everything she does, all the things she tells you, like you're manipulating. Well, no wonder
yeah.
this is not manly. Most of us were boys to our girls before we came into this program. So to our women, I mean. Right now, I'm not saying she doesn't have work to do. I'm not saying she does. A lot of times I tell you guys, your wife is acting like a little kid, like a toddler even. So did you, but I called you out on it already. Now we're just being real, right? So don't play possum. Stand up, man up, put your chest out, be proud. She can say whatever she wants. Sticks and stones may break my bones. There's a reason these cliches exist.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to hurt so bad.
And
Listen,
that's the no Mr. Nice Guy thing. I've got confidence out the ass at work. Hell, I talked to the CEO on my third day at work. Not a problem. But I come home, it's like, oh fuck.
I want to tell you how real it is for you severe nice guys. I still get offended when my kids only want mama. Happened last night. We got home late after that dinner. My kids only want a mama. This was my initial would have been reaction, had to turn response. Was Briar was freaking out because she wanted so she asked for my help to put the pajamas on, and then only wanted a hug from mama. Well, did I ever take that personally? Okay, fine. You can see mama. Anyways, went out of the room, came right back in and said, I'm here for you. Right? You got to learn to recognize it and go, that's not right. It's not that I'm not a good dad. It's that she just wants mama right now. So it's just as real for all of us if we're deep in the triangle. Some of us are even worse. Probably would fucking gaslight my kids if I didn't do all the work I did. So you never love me. You hate me. So anyways, don't worry. Just keep working on it. Get that turnaround time faster. Okay. All right, Eric, go. Reflections?
You could have just been having that whole conversation that you had with Jeff that was talking to me too. So I don't have much to say. Just like I need to quit fucking letting her lead me, and I need to flirt, and I need to keep not push it, but like I need to be there and I need to flirt because that's what I want. That's the direction I want it to go. And I get the same thing. It's probably not quite as bad as sounds like Jeff, but like if I try to touch her, it's pushing me away constantly, and she doesn't want that contact or that intimacy. And fuck that. I'm gonna keep working.
Let's break this down for those of you that are struggling with this rejection ladder and flirting and getting all the way up to the top. Okay. The first thing is you got to be able to walk into the room and not be affected by her mood, right? I don't care who you're talking about. Could have been little Brian last night. It could have been Kathryn, And I'll give you an example. Kathryn was like dog tired, as per usual again with everything going on with her. Like dog tired. And like, I could have let that take me. Oh my gosh. Now it's 8:22, like, come on, like I get up at 4:45, like what's the deal? Could take that all personally. You can't let the mood affect you. Now, let's take it a step further for a second. She's mean to you. Hey, baby, how was your day? Because you're smiling, you're happy, you're excited. That good, hey? Wow. Doesn't sound like your favorite day. Who cares? And it can be whatever it is that you want. Well, good thing your dress looks good. I don't give a shit. Are you ready for Christmas with that smile? Put her in place. Like if somebody's ripping you a new one every single fucking day and you're just trying to control the energy, literally have fun with it because she's choosing to be miserable. Here's another example. If she's just shutting down all the time and hiding in the other room on her cell phone, that's Pete's wife. What Pete's going to do is come in there and fucking be worried and do nothing? No. So if she's like this all the time, so Jeff, your wife is constantly fucking coming at you and ripping you a new one and telling you you're manipulating, sneaking off, doing all these things, start having fun. Just experiment with it. I don't care if she swears at you, just be like, ooh, I haven't heard that one in a while. Like literally, it doesn't fucking hurt you. That's the point. Doesn't have to be perfect. The goal would be to get her to laugh. You do something great and she laughs. That I can't give you. It depends on what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, but if you can get her to laugh, you win. You know? Kathryn figured that out actually. So I'd be all pissed off and she'd come over and I don't even remember what she said now, what the expression is. I can't even remember, but you know, like, anyways, like you kiss me with that mouth. I don't know. Something like that. Like, have fun. It doesn't matter. That's the goal. Change the mood. They don't want it. It won't happen. That's what she's choosing to be. All right. So now you're okay with the mood. By the way, you could have turned to your kids and had a good time. Like literally, all right, babe, love you. Go turn to the kids, right? Go do whatever. Now, the rest is starting conversations, right? Okay, cool. Let's start some conversations. Let's have some fun. You don't even have to be thinking about flirting. Don't try not to think about life either, like day to day with the kids. You know what I mean? Unless it was a great story. Oh man, you missed our first step. You know what I mean? Just talk. Don't be so afraid. What do you do to, you know how many times I've talked to a stranger who says nothing to me? Like probably daily when I'm out. Who fucking cares? I know this is your wife and it hurts, it stings and all that shit, but like, if she's not starting a conversation and you want to be talking, whew, we're gonna wait for our wife or let's have a conversation. Talk about goals. I don't give a fuck. Damn. Don't I look jacked? I've been working out for 3 weeks. What do you think of these muscles? Fuck, start a conversation. Who cares? Right? After that, you can start to get into the other stuff, deeper stuff. Right? Well, you've been mad for about 3 days in a row, babe. Give it to me. I'm ready. Hold on. I'll sit for this one. Okay. Okay, go. Be ridiculous. Be stupid. Who fucking cares? She already hates you. Lawrence, if she's rejecting you at the bottom of the ladder, she already hates you. That's it. She's grossed out by you. She's miserable by being with you. Hates her future. It's the bottom of the ladder. You can't really do anything wrong. If she's leaving you, she already had the lawyer. Okay? All right, good. After that, start complimenting her, giving her affirmations, letting her know how good she is. Use your lover list. After that, flirt with her. Doesn't have to be sexual to flirt with her. You know, you see you're laughing on the phone. I bet you make the best jokes with whatever's going on. You're always so funny. Remember that time? Stop talking. I'm doing something. I know, but remember that time? Just keep fucking talking. Oh, but she's on her phone. She gets mad at me. She laid a boundary, Jeff. Yeah, she did. She laid a boundary so she wouldn't have to talk to you. So go fucking talk to her if that's what you want. Like, come on. This is what I used to do to Kathryn when she was on her phone. She'd have her phone up there. I'll grab an actual phone. She'd be reading her phone. So this is you guys. You guys are Kathryn. I'd be like, hey. Like, honestly. She'd be on her phone. I'd be like, hey. She'd be like, I love you. Then I'd put her phone back up in her face. Like literally, go flirt. Okay? After that, start flirting with her sexually. Some of that's non-sexual, but you're still touching, so we'll call it sexual. Because that's what she's thinking. Okay? Hand on the shoulder, squeeze at the back, whatever. Just do it. Don't let her lead you. Just don't let her lead you. She's supposed to get mad at you. She doesn't want to have sex with you. You should know that. This should not be a surprise. Okay? After that doesn't work. You keep doing things. Have fun. Passing her on the stairs, grab the laundry basket, grab her from her hands, don't let her fall on the stairs, twirl her. Fuck, let her fall. Catch. Get her. I don't care. Dip her in the kitchen. Twirl her by the car. Be a magnet and say, don't open your door. And then twirl her as you put her in. When she's getting into your vehicle, if it's not a low car, it's higher. Even if it's low, I don't give a fuck. Grab her butt. Just helping you in. Elevator here. I don't care. Are you coming? No, I just want to squeeze your ass. Okay. And then we'll worry about the sex stuff later. It's an example of men not being a leader. Okay. we use the reset because we need to show up as a man, husband, father, leader in life. Life isn't reserved to outside the home. So don't let your wife lead you. If people are feeling like the program's not working, it's because they're not using it. Start there before you say, oh, we can't decide for our wife. We can't choose for our wife. We can't, you know what I mean? Start looking at what you're doing wrong. Or start asking deeper questions, more help. They don't need to be long. You don't need to give a 14-page novel story. It's literally like, I'm having trouble with the rejection letter, because you should know it that well. Is that fair? All right. Any more reflections? No? We got it. All right. Is there anybody, what is this, Dennis? Sales guy. Yeah, it's essentially, guys, Eric said sales guy. Listen, it is sales. Everything that we do with the reset is sales. So that's that whole, it's not like you're manipulating. We're not the sleazy salesperson. If you think about it, like, so Jeremy Minor is a guy, when I talk slow, hey babe, can you tell me more about that? Google a guy named Jeremy Minor. That's how he does sales. Okay. And it's empathy. He wants to understand you. He doesn't want objections to be like objection handling. He wants you to know that you care. Like it's good. Now he teaches it a little bit differently. I'm going to apply everything differently, obviously, to marriage, just like I do with everything. But it's really important to understand you are selling your wife. She doesn't believe you. Anybody ever buy something from somebody when they didn't trust anybody? Trust them? Doesn't really happen. Don't care what you're buying, unless you need it. Well, for right now, most of your wives don't need it. So it's sales. I would just prefer you show up without having to give a sales pitch. Makes more sense to her. Makes it more authentic and real. Okay. Yeah. I like that, Dennis. When you point a finger at someone, there's always three pointing your way. Well, it's easy for guys. And again, I don't understand where Josh's comments come from. Maybe he just wanted more support from guys that are doing better, you know, maybe because at times with having to charge for mentorship calls. I don't know. I don't want to assume, but he wants to talk to people who are more successful potentially. I get it. But whenever you see people that are not really happy with it, there's a whole lot more that we need to cover here long before our wife. So let's never look at her or the program if we're not even using the program all the way. By the way, Josh isn't all the time, right? Call him out when you see that stuff. Anybody, right? All right. I thought, oh yeah, Dennis, you have your hand up. Go, buddy.
Look, just a quick rule in sales, like I like to observe everything that's going on, is number one, a good sales is when you have a product that you believe in, and the product for our wives is us.
Yeah.
So number one, you have to know you're a good product, so you become a better person, and then it's the process of letting them know that it's worthwhile for them to do a transaction with you. It's pretty basic, but it's very hard.
Yeah. If you think about it, so you wouldn't know this from my gym, but many of you, I've been on a call with you. I don't do a sales call. I don't run through a script. That's what you're supposed to do with sales. Any of you in sales knows that. I literally just talk to you, have a conversation, try to find out if I can help you because I believe in what I do. My gym was the exact same thing. Kathryn, excuse me. We have like, I think it's 200 grand worth of training with sales training. One of them being Alex Ramosi, who's had everybody's sales training, right? And we just didn't sell his way. I learned from Kathryn, who learned from empathy, which is why I like that Jeremy Minor guy. It's more of a framework for me to ask certain questions. But then you learn that and you use that and you kind of go into it again without a script because you believe in your product, right? So that's exactly right, Dennis. Matthew, go. And actually, Matthew, if you remember, you said something. I can't remember what it was. I was trying to skim it fast before we jumped in. Like you were kind of on board with Josh, maybe? I can't remember what it was. Maybe you could help me remember.
No, I was just telling Josh that pretty much the same thing that I think it was Andy that came back and said. I just was telling Josh that the people that are in this program are the people that already had checked out wives before they came to the program, most of them. So that's why they're struggling so much. You know, and I mentioned on there that if I would have came in the program 4 months earlier than when I met you, I'd be on cloud 9 right now, is what I said. But my
Oh,
nice
yeah,
guy
okay.
damaged me. My nice guy damaged me to the point where I have so much work to do now. So that's basically what I was saying. But what I wanted to tell you is about a month ago, my father-in-law is he's like a dirty old man, kind of like a clown. He's really funny. And going back to that text thing, his wife is always on her phone, like gets up and is on Facebook. She's a Facebook fanatic. He said one day he walked in and he sat on the couch on the opposite side of the living room with no shirt on, and she didn't notice it. And he said he texted her, said, "Hey, honey, look up," because he couldn't get her attention otherwise. And she looks up and he started playing with his nipples, and she just laughed. Just doing stupid shit like that. If she's on her phone that much, then just shoot her a text, even though she's right there, and tell her to look up and just do something stupid like that. It just kind of reminded me of that story.
I gotta be honest,
That's
I've
all.
never thought to do that. That's actually a really good trick. I never would have thought. I never.
Yeah, he said she was just cracking up then. She said, "You dirty." What'd she call it? She said, "Hey, you perv," or something. And he just was playing with his nipples just to get her attention. Because he said if he walks in the room and she's on her phone, she literally won't hear anything he says. Like she
No.
spaces out on her phone.
Yeah, and you know what? There's always going to be different things. Like you'll know who each other are, right? But yeah, you got to improvise. You got to learn to just kind of jump in and try things out without the fear of rejection. The point is you're already rejected. Like you just said, most of the guys come to the program, it's gone way further. Listen, like if it was just sex was an issue, there's a good book called The Dead Bedroom Fix. And he calls it the lover. I use the lover, the player, and the magnet. But the lover is really just a player from high school. And a bunch of programs that are out there, literally, they're like 80 to 95% just copied that book. It's ridiculous, actually. Married Game is one of them. I was in it. And and that's the guy that was like, "Oh, your wife's a fucking bitch," to one of his clients. And that was the last time I went on a call with him. Anyway, my point is that's just not what we do here. We have wives that have been checked out for years. We have wives that are separated. We have wives that are cheating. We have wives that have a lot more pain. We have wives that are, brought a lot of pain into the marriage. We have, it's just, we have guys that have had affairs. We have I know that these things all happen to an extent in all these other programs, obviously. But I think that we get the worst of the worst from how hard it can be, how difficult it can be, I don't know 100%. It's hard to say. I think it's still always I think hopefully I've done a good job of saying it's really about you showing up first. We got to be careful with this statement. We can't control our wives because in pretty much every case, even somebody who's not complaining, not asking too many questions, that could be the issue. You're not asking enough questions, right? There is a lot to be said about participating, utilizing, making sure you are utilizing, following through. By the time we get to the scorecard, I mean, Pete, I don't see too many people using the scorecard too often. You notice it? People talking about it? It goes through waves, right? That's at the end of the reset when you get through Manic Play, but people don't fucking use it. And back when people did use it a lot, we would always just say, "Well, what's your score like?" And you're still worried about your fucking wife? Come on, man. You're not even following through with the program. Basics. So anyways, if you guys see anybody complaining, maybe help me out a little bit with this. I'm going to put this video in the reset, probably its own little box, I don't know what to call it yet. Why you think the program doesn't work, or don't wait for your wife. It's not about her controlling it. You can't control her, whatever. I'll put something in there like that. But literally just following the steps, right? All right. Anybody else have anything else they want to talk about this or ask about this?
One last thing.
Yeah.
When we first meet, look at it as a set of glass. Everything's beautiful.
Mhm.
And then when something changes, we start to see things that are not as nice. That's the pattern. And if you go with 5 different people, it'll keep coming up. And the goal really is to change your wife's glasses. And when she changes them, she'll see things the other way again. And that's the goal. Because when they see things in the wrong way, they have the set of glasses to see more of the negative stuff about you. And when you work the program like you're doing, then they put glasses because somebody gets in a fight. And then the next day, they have the looking glass that they're lovey-dovey and then they get back into another fight, the glass is of the bad. And the point is to change the looking glass, because right now, a lot of time they see us with a set. For me, the set of glass she has with me is I'm her roommate.
I did
That's
like
the glass she has.
I did like a sex course at one point. Pretty sure it was that one. And they talk about there is a glass between you and your wife. And it was along the lines of what you're talking about, but it was muddy. It was muddy.
Mhm.
And so I like that analogy a little bit better, because I feel like when you use yours, you have to be careful, because it's like you're doing it for her instead of realizing you just want to be seeing each other clearly through the glass.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was her analogy. I'm sure it was that girl, but she fired me and Kathryn because she thought we were going to steal all of her material. Anyway, totally different profession. It's a sex profession, but anyway. So yeah, I get what you're saying though. That's the point, is you show up different on the other side of the glass, and then she does need to see it. And for a lot of you, that's a really great analogy anyways, because if you look at like how men get hyper focused on stat response because it's the hardest, but then they don't do anything with man at play. They don't do anything with purpose, right?
Yeah.
So
I'll give my example. My glasses before, it was her fault. And after listening to you, I have glasses now that it's not her fault. I see the beauty in her. I used to puke my shit when I had a bad day. I never do this anymore. Things are day and night. I've got my steps to go, but my looking glass now are not, it's her. My looking glass now is when I do something better, I see the change in her. So I have the glass that I'm the responsible one to change before she changes, where before is, why don't you change? I'm a nice guy. That's the glass I had before. That's what I was wearing.
Well, that's the thing. Well, the thing is, like, all of our wives had work to do, more than likely. The very lucky ones, she just loves the new guy and she just follows along. I didn't have one of those. You know, I have, as far as I can tell, it's guys that aren't in Lords, really. But I mean, in the beginning, I didn't have Lords, as talking to everybody on the phone all the time. So I saw it more, but now it's impossible to tell. It's like only 35% of men use Lords. Like maybe it's up to like 40 right now, but I'd have to go do some checking. But it's like very few actually use Lords. How many guys are in there right now? Like 140? Like, and we've only had no Lords since it's been about a year now, I think. And it was a very slow integration. And I'm just gonna pull it up here, but like Lords. I don't know if this tells us. Start here. Oops. Oh. Yeah, there's like 150 or something. And what do we see? The same 22 guys, same 25 guys all the time. Right? So, I'm guessing that most guys will join it because that's how it's structured with Lords. That was way later. Where as you go through the reset, you get structured to put you into it so that you're kind of pushed into it, right? And trying to get more guys involved. Now we do a lot of work trying to explain to men why they should use Lords, right? And talk about teaching. When you teach, you learn faster. But on a whole, most guys aren't using it. In Discord, I get it can be a little bit overwhelming, right? Especially with a lot of guys chatting. But at the end of the day, I can see why somebody doing really well is spending a ton of time in it. It's tough. So Simon, you were in a men's group on WhatsApp. How many guys did you have in your group?
27.
27. So it's about as much as what's interacting with us. And then you still have the side layers that come in, or side liars, come in and do their thing and stuff. So which wouldn't be much different. Did you find it overwhelming as well?
Yeah, it is really. Yeah, there's a lot of if you're not careful, you can really pull you down. I kind of find like some of the time you take on a lot of people's trauma actually, and it absorbing that and buffering it back to them, if you like, is really difficult, because obviously you're dealing with guys that are in really extreme circumstances sometimes, and their emotions are all over the place, and it isn't until they they can start to see where things can improve, that starts to settle down, but it can be relentless, absolutely relentless. So I feel for you, man. Honestly, it's really difficult, really difficult.
Yeah, and I thank you. I think that's a really great way to put it. The trauma, it's almost like burden bearing, right? Like you have to be able to flip it all the time. And I think it's probably even more exhausting for men like Greg, Pete, Ryan, like the mentors that are all they're still processing. Like Pete processes probably the fastest out of everybody. But it's a lot of processing until it's just second nature, right? Like when I see somebody, they'll be like, wow, like you just get it. It makes so much sense. Yeah, but for a long time, it's the processing power of the burden, that the trauma, that it's like, whoa, shit. Yeah. So, like I said, Kathryn wanted to quit. She was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could speak to women like this all day long. All the pain, but anyways, she's good now. But Bill, go ahead. Thank you, Simon. Bill?
Yeah, it kind of struck me when you said that guy that you quit his program. You said, well, your wife is just a bitch.
Me?
You know-
No. He said that to another man about his wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, that kind of struck me as like, that's where, I don't know about everybody else, but I was kind of there too when I first started. But when you stick to it, you find out that may be the case, but she's not the one that put herself there. We're the ones that put her there.
Well, and that's taking ownership and responsibility. At the end of the day, she still put herself there. But we shouldn't be proud of the man that did the part that aided that, or however we reacted. Maybe she was really rude. Well, if Kathryn snaps at me, I don't want to be saying or doing something stupid. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I just ultimately don't feel good about myself if I'm feeling negative. That's just one example. Never mind. Especially like me, for me, it's more the kids, not Kathryn. If Briar's pissed off like she was last night, I don't want to be mad at my daughter just because she is just tired and needs, like, you know what I mean? And so looking at that exact example, see, we look at our wife like we're looking at whose fault is it, right? Instead of like our child, where we're like, oh man, like I don't want to yell at my child. She's having a bad day. She's difficult. She's tired. That's what we need to think about, is like, who do I want to be, no matter what she's going through, wife or child. Makes sense.
It does.
All right.
But
What's that? Get more?
it kind of took me back to the beginning where I was saying that, I loved her for the woman that she showed me when we first got together. And then over the period of time was like, you're right. She went that way on her own, but I pushed her and I pushed her.
Most of us did. I mean, even if you think about not being a really bad man, right? Let's just say you worked really hard. You guys had goals together. She was looking forward to taking care of the kids. You weren't even that bad. You didn't necessarily shut down. You didn't necessarily scream. No, you just worked hard. She wasn't a priority. Life got in the way. Well, at the end of the day, that still makes somebody lonely. Still makes somebody, but even though she was part of the decision-making process, I want to raise the kids. You go to work. Yeah, let's do it. Right? We still let her fade. We still faded in that case, right? So it just always goes back to, like, you helped raise whatever flags you're seeing. You enabled it, right? Even if it's not all your fault, in most cases it's not, but if you can focus on just who do I want to be, what would I have done differently? Maybe things wouldn't have been. We don't ever know. We don't. We can't go back in time and run through a time machine, but we do think logically. When you start to learn this stuff, you can be like, well, it'd probably be a lot easier. I'll go back to my story. Hey, if Kathryn would have been really empathetic, or if I understood that I was just being a nice guy, super jealous, not feeling good about myself because she was talking about an ex, right? The very first fight, I call it the chicken and egg. But at the end of the day, if I think about me, man, that would have been nice. If I would have been like, oh, understanding it like I do now, holy moly, I started to get really insecure right there. When we talk about your ex and how other men can treat you well, and I start to feel like I'm not good enough. Like the actual nice guy, right? Exactly what the book is written for. It's exactly what happened in that first fight. That's the Joel. If you watch the fight with Kathryn and I, the hidden recording one, that's Joel. We're talking about Joel in there. And she just said, yeah, no, other men are gentlemen. And I took it so personally because I wanted to be the only gentleman. Because I felt so shitty about myself. So that's what that, so yeah. But think about it. If we could be proud of who we are, could that have been different if I knew how to communicate what I was feeling? Holy shit. And Kathryn probably would have been empathetic because that's just who she naturally was. And then we just probably would have carried on. I would have started to get over my whole nice guy shit. All in the beginning with the help of my wife. So here's the thing we don't actually know. But if we could take responsibility like you are, Bill, even further, like you said, it's my fault, right? Then you can't possibly fuck up the same way. Okay, so if it's your fault, cool, go fix it. Get through Man at Play. Go start flirting with your wife. Get her through the insecurities. Right? Invite her along the way. You know? Cool? Nodding. All right, Lords, this has been an awesome call. I'm gonna make sure I put it in the reset, and then I'll drop the link also to Lords. Please share the wealth. And let's try to really break away from this we can't control our wife bullshit nonsense. Start with controlling ourselves first. How's that sound? See a lot of heads nodding. I love it, guys. All right, guys, love you tons. See you tomorrow. Oh, wait, Friday today, isn't it? Yeah, see you next week. Wait. Pete's gonna run a call tomorrow. Pete, I'll make sure we get in touch this afternoon. I'll make sure that I've got you set up. I've got a reoccurring meeting in the reset now. After the introduction, you'll see the Zoom schedule. It's a bit messy because we've got stuff coming. The bottom of that page, you'll see where you can add my calls to your calendar now, and you can add Pete's call to your calendar. And as the other ones unfold and come out, you'll be able to add them to your calendar there as well. I don't know if I did it correctly. I think so. It's my first time doing that. So just check it out. At the very least, the links are there and you can add it to your own calendar like we have been doing. Okay, cool. All right, guys, have a good one. See ya.